This conference will now be recorded.
In last session, we were discussing about what is VPC, how to create VPC, what is subnet, what is IGW, what is public subnet, what is private subnet, what is route table. We discussed all those things. In fact, we created a VPC with subnets, IGWs, route tables already there. I hope everyone has created a VPC and created a subnets and created a servers in public subnet and created a server in private subnet, whatever has been done. Are you guys facing any issues while practicing, like creating a VPC, subnets, route tables, IGW, servers in that VPC? Anyone? No? Good. Okay. Guys, I'm seeing day by day attendance is dropping. Day by day attendance is dropping. But I am completely against to that I know that attitude. I mean to say, I'm not taking this as an advantage. I'm just trying to guide. If you are not attending, I cannot do anything. If you attend, I can make you understand if you are not able to understand. If you are not able to understand, again you can ask a question, again I can explain. But if you are not at all attending, I can't do anything from my side. If you are attending, let me say, sir, I'm not able to understand. Can you explain again? I can explain. Even though you are not able to attend 2 times, you have a recording. Go through the recording and again come up, sir, still after going through the recording, I'm not able to understand. I can explain. But if you are not attending, I can't do anything from my side. At the same time, it is not a school or a college. I can come and ask everyone to, can you share your screen and show me whether you have done the assignment or not, whether you have created a VPC or not. I cannot ask like that also. Everyone is a professional. So don't fool it yourself. You may think I am fool, I am making a trainer fool, but it will, at the end of the day, you will be fool if you say wrong, even though you are not doing the assignment. Because in the interview, they'll ask all these questions. If you don't practice, if you don't do the assignments, if you are not attending the classes, then it is very difficult to crack the interviews. Getting the opportunities is one thing, scheduling the interviews is one thing. Maybe 2, 3 interviews, definitely you will not have a confidence. 2, 3 interviews, you can take very light. Go with the fresh mind, saying, keep in mind that I am not going to get an offer in the interview. Go with that attitude and give the interview. You can understand what mistakes you are doing and you can improve in the next interview. Maybe after 3, 4 interviews, definitely you can crack interview. But if you don't do all these assignments, if you don't attend the classes, if you appear 10 interviews or 20 interviews also, you are not able to get a job. You cannot crack the offer. Calls also, like maybe 20 calls will be there, but will you keep getting the calls for same resume, like after 20, 30 interviews has been scheduled and you are not able to crack? Do you think you are keep on getting the calls forever? No, right? So attendance, why it is important, why assignments are important, we told in the beginning itself, but still people, I don't know what is the problem. I cannot force more than this. It's up to them. But at least whoever is attending, do the assignments and let me know if you are not able to do. If you are not able to understand, I am available to help. There are recordings. There are recordings also. There are, you can go through that recordings like that. Then you can understand. Jagan Mohan is saying, sir, I am taking 172.31.0.0/28. And again, you are using /28. for creating a subnets. Is it correct? Just think. You are saying I have taken this as a VPC CIDR and again subnet CIDR /28. So with this range, 16 IPs. But are you allocating 16 IPs here? This is also not correct. It is something like this. But again, as I already told, can I give like this? Whether it's a VPC or CIDR, what is the range which we can give? What is the range which we can give in the CIDR block, whether it's a VPC CIDR or subnet CIDR? Only this one. So if I give like this 29, it should be 8 IPs here, 8 IPs here. But this is not allowed. So take some bigger number, or you can, if this is your VPC CIDR, you can max give only one subnet. You can create max only one subnet. So take some high number like 24 and use that subnet calculator, whatever I have given. In the class I have explained, right? Even I have not calculated on my own. That subnet calculator. You take this, go with some bigger number like 24. I am just giving your use case only 172.31.0.0. You divide this like this. Take this one for one CIDR, take this one for another, take this one for another. If you have taken like this, 28, you cannot create more than one subnet because the subnet allowed only this much. Guys, we discussed all these things. Try to go through the video. If you are still not able to understand after going through the video also, let me know. Definitely I can help you. Don't hesitate to ask any question. Feel free to ask any question. But before asking the question, think whether go through the recording multiple times and see if that can be solved by myself or not. Self-learning is important, guys. Self-learning. You need to improve self-learning also. You read the error message, 90% you will get a solution from the error message itself. People are like simply the moment they are getting error, they are just posting. But initially that is fine. But once you are almost done with course like 50%, 60%, you should be able to understand what is that error, what problem, what mistake we are doing. That self-learning is also important. Okay, thank you. That's it. I'll continue further. So last week, I mean to say last Friday, what we have done? We created a VPC with how many subnets total we created? 4 subnets. Out of those 4, 2 are public, 2 are private. In public subnet, I created one server. Public subnet, I created one server. Am I able to reach that server if the firewall is opened, if the port is opened? Am I able to reach that server from internet using public IP? Yes. Now I created a server also in a private subnet. I created a server also in a private subnet. Am I able to reach that private server directly from different networks or from internet? No. So because there is no internet, there is no public IP for that server. I am not able to reach that. Now, as I already told, if I want to reach that server, which means whether it's a SSH, whether Tomcat is running, Jenkins is running, database is running, whatever it is, if you want to access that from that machine, from different servers, different networks, I cannot directly access this one, right? So just SSH purpose, I want to SSH to this server. We can use VPN. If I have a VPN servers in this network, and I connected to my laptop also connected with that VPN, then using this private IP also, will I able to SSH from my laptop using this private IP also? Will I able to access Jenkins, Tomcat, whatever it is running? If it is a VPN? Yes. Now I don't have a VPN. Now what I am using? I am using one server in the public subnet. I am using one server in the public subnet. So am I able to SSH to this public server from different networks or laptops or internet? Again, if the port is opened, if the port is opened here in the security group, if the port is opened, even though if the port is not opened, even though this is a public server, if the port is not opened, will I able to reach that server on that port? No. If the port is opened, I can SSH. From this server, can I again SSH to this server using private IP itself? Yes. So can I call this as a jump box? Can I call this as a jump box or bastion host to SSH this one? Yes. Now similarly, you may have a questions, sir, if you are running our application servers as private servers, you have deployed Tomcat, you have installed Tomcat, in the private servers, you deployed application in these servers. Does end users can access that application using this IP on port 8080 from internet? No. In that case, what can I do, guys? In that case, what can I do? Can I have a one web server that is load balancer, web server come load balancer, kind of HTTPD or Nginx or HA proxy or F5 load balancers like this? Now, can I install HTTPD or Nginx or HA proxy? Can I define those reverse proxy rules in this load balancer, which will route the traffic to these servers on those private IPs on that application port? So does end users can access our application via this web server load balancer, which is in a public subnet? Yes. As I already told, suppose I have a database server also in a private subnet. Does this application servers can talk to the database? Does the developer can use the IP of this database server and port on which database is running? Does developer can use in their code to connect to the database? Yes. So this is how actually it works. This is how actually it works. Suppose your applications are internal applications. Your applications are internal applications, not internet facing. Like suppose you are working for IBM or you are working for TCS, let's say, you will have some applications. That applications can be accessed only if you are in that network. That is like a private applications. Does that private applications will be exposed via public load balancers like this? No. So do you have a private load balancers, which means you have a private servers and that private load balancer you can access if you are in that network only. That network only. Just to make it simple, you are trying to download your pay slips. You are trying to download your pay slips. You have some office application. Does that office application will be accessible if you are in home, same office laptop? Let's consider you are taking that same office laptop to home. Will you able to download without connecting to a VPN? No. So there will be a two types, right? Public applications and private applications. Public applications in the sense internet facing applications. Internet facing. So can I have those in public subnets? Can I have those public that load balancers in a public subnet for internet facing applications? Yes. For internal applications, internal facing, right? Internal applications. Can I have load balancers created in a private subnet, private DNS? I can access only if I am in that network. So that is how it works. That is how it works. Is everyone clear? What is public subnet? What is public load balancer? What is private subnet? What is private load balancer also? If you have a private application which cannot be accessed from internet, can I have a load balancer created in a private subnet also, which I can access only if I am in that network? Yes. So that is how it works. Now, for SSHing, what I am using? For SSHing now, I am using this server, the server which is there in a public server, public subnet. Can I consider can I consider that as a bastion host or jump box or jump server for now? Yes. Now I can SSH to this server directly from internet because it's a public server. The port is also opened. I can directly connect from my laptop also. For this jump box also, for this jump box also, can I create whom should I know for which IP range I can open that port 22? For now, I am opening for 0.0.0. If required, can I restrict this to specific ranges again? Also, yes. But for now, I am opening for everywhere because I want to connect from any IP, internet. From this machine, I already have a PEM file. Will I able to SSH to that private server in that VPC? This private server, this server. To this server, I can connect. But before I SSH there, since it's a public server, I am able to reach from internet. And does this server also has access to internet? Can I download softwares directly from internet? Because it has an internet connection. I'm just using ping. This is public server. I am talking about public server. I have not yet SSH to private server. So we have access to internet. Now let me connect to private server from here. Let me connect to private server from here. The username is ec2-user. That IP address -i is missing. Now, am I in this server now? Am I in this server now? This private server? From this public server, am I able to reach this SSH to private server? Again, here in this private server also, do you see that port is open for everywhere? But it is not recommended. It is not recommended like this. Can I change this to only bastion host if required? Only can I give that bastion server IP if the SSH is coming from this only, this server only? SSH. Otherwise, don't SSH. Can I give this in the server security group? If SSH is coming, if anyone is reaching on port 22, now instead of opening like this for private server, can I say something like this? It is not going to allow IP, but can I give range? Can I give range like that VPC range 10.0.0.0/24? That VPC range, which means any server in that network, any server in that network, within that network, whether this server, whether other server, will it able to reach on port 22 if I have opened like this? On port 22, if I have opened like this, yes. That is what we can do. We can narrow down the restrictions. We can narrow down the restrictions like this also, as per the best practices. Something like this. Now I am already in private server. In this private server, do I have access to internet? Am I able to reach internet? No. Now, how can I install softwares directly from internet, or how can I install softwares in private server? Now, you are a DevOps engineer, you want some softwares to be installed, you need to configure this server. Whether you are using Ansible, whether you are doing manually, that doesn't matter. How can I install the softwares now? There are some options. There are some options. First option, First option, can I download softwares as a packages like tar files, zip files, or RPM files, or APK files, or APT files in public server where I have access to the internet? Can I download softwares as a zip file, tar file, or RPM files, or APT files? I can download in a server where I have access to the internet, public server in same VPC. Will I able to SCP those RPM files or tar files, zip files from that public server to this private server? Yes. Then can I install those softwares using those files in that private server? Whether it's a zip file, tar file, RPM file? Yes. That is one option. There is a one more option using NAT. 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 What is this NAT? What is the full form of NAT? Network Address Translation. Basically, if you want to reach internet, do you need a server with public IP? Do we need a server with public IP if you want to reach internet? Yes. But this private server, does it have a public IP to reach internet? No. So using NAT, we can make that happen. Using NAT, you can make that happen. So basically NAT, network address translation or translator, network address translation or translator. So we can create a NAT gateway or NAT instance. We can create a NAT gateway or NAT instance. Then if my private server has a route to the NAT, if my private server has route to the NAT, so private server talk to the NAT, does NAT will translate, it will rewrite the data with its own public IP and it will talk to the internet. So with the help of NAT, will I able to communicate, will I able to access internet from private server? It is only one way direction. It's only one way direction, which means private servers can access internet via NAT, but does it mean it's a public subnet, public server again? From internet, will I be able to reach that server? No, it's only one way direction. So we have a one more component called NAT gateway or NAT instance. One second. There is a one more component called NAT gateway or NAT instance. So using that NAT gateway or NAT instance, right, we can access. So here itself I have explained what is NAT actually. Network address translation is a technology that makes feasible solution to the IP address exhaustion problem. Internal host, which means private servers also can communicate with the internet with the help of NAT. So basically NAT is a network router or a separated device or firewall. It will sit between internal network and internet. It will sit, that NAT will sit between internet and private network. So that internet interface is configured with public IP. That NAT will have a public IP and that private subnets can connect to the NAT and NAT can connect to the internet, sends the data. So when the NAT receives any data request from internal host, what is the meaning of internal host here? if when NAT device receives any request from internal host is nothing but a private server. When NAT receives any data packets from private server, it will rewrite the data packets to its own public IP as a source, and it will communicate with internet. So using NAT, can I access internet from private servers using NAT? But still that is a private server. Will I able to reach that private server from internet again? No. Only that NAT can talk to the only that private server can talk to the internet. From internet you cannot access that server. It will be a still private server. Now in VPC also we have a NAT. So this is VPC architecture, guys. I already drawn this one. In VPC, can I create a subnets like this? Can I create a subnets like this? A number of subnets I can create. So does VPC will have a IGW, internet gateway? This IGW will make internet connectivity. So do I have a route tables in VPC where I can link these subnets with internet gateway or NAT with subnets? Do I need to define the route tables? Network routing, yes. So what is this NACL? I'll explain later. What is this NACL? I will explain later. Now, as I already told, suppose I have some subnet, and I have a server in that subnet. Let's consider that is public subnet. Does this server can access internet, or from internet also can I access this server if the port is open, firewall is open? Yes. How that is possible? That is possible because in the route table, do I have a route to the IGW for that subnet? Did I done this 0.0.0/0 internet gateway, and also by attaching this subnet, will this become public subnet? Yes. Now let's say this server, this private server want to access this public server. Same VPC, same network. This is in one subnet. This is in another subnet. Does these two servers can communicate with each other without internet, without IGW also? How that is possible? How that is possible? Is it possible because of this local target, route table local target? Yes, that is possible because of the route table local target. Now, this private server need access to the internet. This private server need access to the internet. Now, how that can happen? How I can make that happen? By creating a NAT instance or NAT gateway. By creating a NAT instance or NAT gateway, by attaching that NAT instance or NAT gateway to this private server, private subnet basically, does private server can access internet with the help of NAT? This N stands for NAT. Does this private server can access internet with the help of NAT? Yes. Now, do I have a NAT instance created? Do I have a route to the NAT here as of now? No. That's why, am I able to reach internet? Am I able to download any software directly from internet like this in this server? No. So now, let me create a NAT instance. Sometimes in the interview, they'll ask, what is NAT? What is NAT? Why do you need NAT? Or when do you create a NAT? When do we create a NAT instance, guys? What is NAT? NAT is a network address translator. It's a special device which will make private servers to access internet. But when do we need NAT? If they ask in the interview, When do you need NAT? When any private server, need access to the internet. Any private server need access to the internet. Not only internet, suppose in AWS there are lot of services available. In AWS lot of services are available. In AWS I have S3. In AWS I have S3. In AWS I have ECR. In AWS I have ECR. Now from these private servers, if I want to use AWS APIs or AWS resources, I want to communicate with AWS resources like S3. I want to communicate with ECR. I need to access AWS resources. Does it request again access? I mean to say internet, because this is exposed as APIs. So I want to access S3 objects. I mean to say I want to upload files to S3. I want to download files from S3 from this EC2 server. I'm going to execute some commands like this: AWS CLI commands, AWS S3 commands. Does this S3 CLI will internally make some API calls? APIs exposed by AWS. Is those APIs is running in within your network? Is that AWS APIs, that code, is it running within your VPC? No, right? It is running in a different network. So do I need a internet connectivity during that time also? If I want to access ECR, if I want to access S3 from this private server, not only just internet, if I want to communicate with other AWS services or resources, in that case also, do I need a NAT instance if I want to access those APIs resources from private server? Yes. So is everyone clear? What is NAT? When do we need a NAT? You need a NAT instance if your private server wants to communicate with internet, or if your private server want to communicate with other AWS resources like this. Okay. So I don't have a NAT instance. Now let me go to VPC. Let me go to VPC. Now I already have a VPC. This VPC created in the last session. For that VPC, I already created 4 subnets total. Now, 2 are public, 2 are private. That is because of this route table. I explicitly created a new route table. In that route table, do I have a route to IGW? And here, did I link these 2 subnets? Did I associated these 2 subnets in that route table? So can I call these 2 subnets as public subnets? They already have access to the internet. Yes. Now other two subnets are not associated with IGW. So do have access to the internet? Even though you assign public IP, is that useful for that subnet servers? Even though you assign public IP, that is of no use, because there is no internet first of all. Now I need access to the internet from that private server. Here, do I have option called NAT gateways? NAT gateways. Here, I can create a NAT gateway. So I am trying to create a NAT gateway. I am giving some name. Something like this: Flipkart Dev VPC NAT gateway. While creating this NAT gateway also, you need to select subnet. In which subnet you want to create? In which subnet this NAT instance or NAT gateway has to be created? Private or public? Private or public? If I create this NAT instance in private subnet, let's consider. If you create that NAT instance in a private subnet, let's consider, does the NAT will have internet access? No. So NAT instance has to be created in which subnet? NAT instance has to be created in which subnet? Public subnet of any availability zone. Can I have it that public subnet in this 1A availability zone of public subnet or 1B availability zone of that public subnet? Yes, any subnet. If required, can I have two NATs also? One in public 1A, another one in 1B public, and can I attach respective private subnets in that 1B to that 1A NAT? Sorry, 1B to 1B NAT, 1A to 1A to 1A NAT also, that is also possible. For now, I am not creating two NAT instances, only one NAT instance in any public subnet. I am creating here in this Flipkart Dev VPC 1A. Again, I am using this only for public only. So I am selecting this option public connection type. So NAT instance requires one elastic IP. NAT instance requires one elastic IP. If you have already any elastic IP, you can select here if it is available already. If you don't have elastic IP, by clicking on this one, I can create one elastic IP and it will allocate. With this, I am creating a NAT. But make sure you are creating in a public subnet of that VPC. That can be any public subnet of that VPC. Now NAT instance is created. This is kind of a special server, special device. But will I able to see this NAT instance when I go to EC2 section? No, it will not be shown under EC2, but it will be shown under this NAT gateways. It is getting created. So this is the private IP of that NAT. So now is one IP is used by NAT also now? That NAT server also, that NAT instance also. This is the private IP of that NAT. Now the NAT instance is getting created. I just have a NAT. I just have a NAT. I have a private subnet. But is there any route from this private subnet to this NAT defined as of now? Is there any route from this private subnet to NAT defined as of now? No. So where can I define that route? Route to the NAT and associate subnets? Where I can define? Again in the route table. Again in the route table. So let me go to the route table. This is still getting created. Let it happen. Let me go to the route table. Do I need to do here? Is it correct to do here in this route table or in the default route table? Already we have one default route table. No, because this already has a public route. This already has a IGW route. I am not going to do this. So I will create another. I'll create another route table. I'll say Flipkart Dev VPC private route or NAT route, something like this, some name. Under which VPC I want to create this route table as per my requirement now. I'll create this in this third one, Flipkart Dev VPC. I'm creating a route table, just a route table. Here itself you can start editing. Here itself you can start editing, or you can again go back to route table. You can see this route table is created. Now in this route table, can I define a route to the NAT now in this route table? To the NAT? Yes. So let me edit the routes here. Now destination 0.0.0, any IP other than this range. Now what is my target here in the list of targets here? What can I select? This NAT gateway. Now NAT gateway. I am selecting that NAT gateway. Whatever I created just now. I just defined route, But did I associated the subnets, that private subnet with this route table? No. So that's why still, do I have access to internet? If you see, do I have still access to internet here? No. Now here in this subnet section, can I implicitly assign this by editing this one? Edit subnet associations. Can I select only these two, that private subnets, this one, and as well as the other private subnet? I'll select this one. I'll associate. Now these subnets, does these two subnet has a route to the NAT now? Does these two subnets has a route to the NAT now? So this NAT is in public subnet. Now, do you see already the moment I associated, do you see is it already able to talk to the internet? Now, will I able to directly install some security patches or some softwares directly from internet like this now? If you see, is it working now? Whether you are doing manually or whether you are using Ansible also. You have written Ansible playbook. If your Ansible playbook has a task like M module you are using and M module you are using, will it able to directly download from internet because there is a NAT route? Suppose you don't have a NAT attached with these subnets. Whenever you are executing Ansible playbooks, which you are installing softwares from internet, will it work? Whether you are doing manually or using Ansible, whatever it is, fail. Now, am I able to reach this? From this server, am I able to talk to the internet? Yes. But if this is removed, if I just simply go to this route table, if I remove this association or if I remove this route, if I remove this route or if I remove this route table, again will it work? If I remove that route table or if I just remove this route also, or if I remove this association also, is it going to work again? No. This is one way direction, but still from my laptop, am I able to reach that private server? First of all, that private server doesn't have a public IP. I cannot reach. Is everyone clear what is NAT? What is the importance of NAT? Okay. Not only internet, let's say from this one, I am trying to pull images from ECR. ECR is a one service in AWS. I will explain later. ECR is one service in AWS where we can maintain the Docker images. So I want to pull those images from ECR. Does this server should have a NAT route so that it can talk to the ECR and pull the image? Yes. So it is required. Otherwise it won't work. And also you are trying to contact S3 for pulling and pushing the files, you require a NAT. Sir, no inbound traffic to NAT, it's only used for outbound. It's only for communication. So NAT is a special device. You cannot access a private server from NAT. I mean to say, you cannot reach the private server using NAT from internet. It is like only outgoing connection, outgoing traffic. Now, in one more concept is there in AWS VPC, NACL. One more concept. What is this NACL? The way we have a NAT, there is a one more concept called NACL. What is NACL? Network Access Control List or lists. Network Access Control List. We have a security group. I hope everyone knows already what is security group. What is security group, guys? It's a firewall. Firewall at what level? Firewall at instance level. At instance level, which means at a server level. Now, the way we have a security group, which is basically firewall at an instance level, we have a NACL, Network Access Control List. Again, it's a firewall, but at what level? It's a firewall at subnet level, which means can I allow or block the traffic at the network level itself instead of server level, subnet level itself? Can I block or allow the traffic using this NACL? Yes. So NACL is a firewall at subnet level. If you see already, when I go to this NACL, the way we have a security groups, we have a NACL. Sometimes in the interview also they'll ask, what is NACL, what is security group? So if you see, when I go to NACL, do I already have some default NACL created whenever I created a VPC? If you see this NACL, again, in this NACL, do I have inbound rules? Again, outbound rules. This is inbound rules. This is outbound rules. By default, if you see, is all the traffic, all ports, all traffic for all the sources is allowed? Yes. In the inbound as well as outbound. In the inbound as well as outbound. Now, does this NACL is associated with subnets? If you see, because it's a subnet level, not at a server level. Does this NACL, is this inbound rules, outbound rules is applicable for these subnets, all these subnets? But by default, all the traffic is opened. Suppose if required, can I block this traffic here itself? It is like a main entry gate. So it is like main gate. At the main gate itself, you can close. If you bypass this main gate, are you having at least one more internal gate at a server level? Like in your main home, you have a home. Do you have a main door and again doors for each and every room? You are welcoming everyone from the main door, but at least are you blocking someone to enter your private room? Like that. So you can block at the main door itself, or you can block at the server level itself. So NACL is a firewall at what level? Firewall at what level? Subnet level. This security group is firewall at what level? Instance level. But is all the traffic, all ports are opened in inbound as well as outbound in the NACL by default? If you see, inbound and outbound opened everywhere. But one more difference is there. So security group is a stateful. What is the meaning of stateful? Difference between NACL and security group. Security group is stateful, which means whatever ports is allowed in inbound, is it allowed in the outbound also? Suppose, which means I have a security group, which means someone is reaching this on some port. Someone is reaching on that server on port. That is a security group. Let's say it's a 22 port or 80 port, whatever it is. Let's say this is your server. Maybe let me keep it here. Now, this is your server, let's say. Here you have a security group. Here you have a security group. Here you have security group. let's say. Now, security group is stateful, which means in the inbound, you have opened port 22. Let's consider, are you going to get response back outbound? I mean to say from that port again, you will get the response back to this server. You are trying to reach this server on port 22. You are going to get response back on port 22. Do I need to explicitly open this port 22 again in outbound of that server if it is a security group? If it is a security group, I no need to again open outbound. Explicitly, I no need to open. You will get the response back. But if it is a NACL, sorry, if it is a NACL, it is at a subnet level. Suppose I opened only inbound 22. Will you get a response back to that original server back again if you don't explicitly open that port 22 in outbound? Are you going to get a response back again to this server? There is no redirection, guys. It is not like a redirection. It's only firewall. It is not going to redirect. Let me make it simple. You are opened only inbound 22 in the NACL. You have not opened outbound 22 explicitly. Are you going to get a response back to this original server? Basically, anything you are accessing, you are talking to this one, this is responding. It is like a shake hand. You are talking to this server on 22, or you are talking to this server on 8080. Are you going to get again response back to this server from this server? It is like a shake hand, right? You are talking to that guy again responding back to you on the same port. So if you are not open that explicitly in outbound, will you get a original, you will get a response back to this original server if it is NACL? No. So in that case, do I need to again explicitly open that port in outbound in NACL again explicitly? Yes. But by default, is all the ports are opened in inbound as well as outbound? Yes. If required, can I block here itself? Can I block here itself if required? Yes. But if you are opening port 22 here, do I need to explicitly open 22 again in the outbound? Yes. Excuse me 1 minute, guys. Sorry, I'll continue. So if I have opened some port here, I need to explicitly open in the outbound also. But when it is a security group, do I need to open explicitly? Not required. If you open in inbound, it will be automatically opened in the outbound also, which means you will get the response back. Is everyone clear? What is NAT? What is the difference between NAT and subnet? Sorry, NAT and security group. Security group is a firewall at instance level. It's a stateful, and whereas NAT is a subnet at NAT is a firewall at subnet level. It's a stateless, which means whatever ports I have opened in inbound, do I need to make sure that ports has to be opened in outbound also if you want to get the response back? Yes. So that is how it works. Now, there is a one more concept in VPC in AWS, VPC peering. VPC peering. What is this VPC peering? What is this VPC peering? Let's say I have two VPCs now. I have two VPCs in my AWS. I have two VPCs. The server from one VPC want to access server from other VPC internally, not via internet, not via public route. The server in one VPC want to access other server in other VPC. Is it possible? without internet, without public IP? Yes, that is possible. Yes, that is possible if we have done the VPC peering. If there is no peering, then is it possible? No. Now, let's say I have two VPCs like this. Just to make it simple, let me explain how it works. Now, let's say, guys, this is my dev VPC. Let's say this is my dev VPC for my application. Now, I have a separate VPC for prod, let's say, prod VPC. Now, you have QA VPC like this. You have QA VPC like this based on your environment. As I already told, are you going to have respective application servers, database servers, load balancers in the respective networks separately for each environment? For all your dev servers, dev load balancers will be in a separate VPCs. Now let's say I have a DevOps VPC or management VPC. We call it as a management VPC or DevOps VPC. Is your DevOps software tools is going to be for each environment you will have a separate Jenkins, separate Nexus like that? Are you going to have a separate Jenkins server for each environment to deploy? Are you going to have a separate Nexus where you will store packages? No, right? So it is same Jenkins. Now I will have a separate VPC for that. Let's consider this is my management VPC. This is my management VPC or DevOps VPC, let's say. Now can I have my Jenkins server? Can I have my Jenkins server in this VPC? Can I have my Nexus server in this VPC? Yes, you can have your Jenkins server in this VPC, all your Jenkins servers, it's a slaves in this VPC. And you will have an Nexus server also, let's say, in the same VPC, just to give an example. Now, your application servers are in this VPC. In dev environment, you have a private subnets. In dev environment, you have a private subnets. Are you going to have your application servers like Tomcat servers in this private subnets? Let's say this is dev private subnets. Here you have a your Tomcat servers created for dev environment. For dev environment, you have a Tomcat server. Just to give an example. Again, you will have a multiple servers that you already know. I no need to explain. Let's say my Tomcat servers for dev is in this private subnets. Now you have a Jenkins. You have written a pipeline. You have written a pipeline. You are using maybe that deploy to container plugin, or you are using SCP in your pipeline to copy that var file, whatever is generated in the Jenkins server. Will it work? Does Jenkins will be able to connect to this server using that publish what is that deploy to container plugin, or if you are using SCP also? This is a private server in different VPC. Does Jenkins pipeline will be successfully executed? Will it execute successfully and able to connect to these servers for copying that file, var file? If this is the case, not able to do that, because do we have public IPs for these servers? In actual projects, actual applications, do we have a public IPs for these application servers? No. If I have a public IP, if these servers are in public subnet, in my pipeline, can I use public IP of these servers when I am using SCP or deploy to container plugin? Yes, I can use. If I don't have a public IP, I am just using a private IP here. Does pipeline will successfully executed, or do you see timeouts or connection errors? If this is the case, if you are using private IPs of this one, yes. But I want to make this happen. But Jenkins servers and its slaves are in different VPC. Your dev application servers are in different VPC. Now, how can I make this happen? Do I need to create a peering, VPC peering between this VPC and this VPC? To make that happen, this Jenkins has to communicate with these servers privately without internet. Can I make that happen using VPC peering? Yes. But the other side, if I have a public subnet where I have a load balancer, does end users can access via that one? Other side, whatever applications are being deployed using Jenkins, other side, let's say this is my public subnet where I have a load balancer, This is public subnet. Does end users can access these applications, whatever is deployed using Jenkins via this load balancer, end users using that reverse proxy? Guys, if you understand what I am explaining today, you can understand how it works in the project. I am trying to cover in and out of all the topics, whatever I am using from last 13 years of my IT career. But here and there, not all the topics, but when it comes to networking, now this is my Jenkins, this is my dev. But a dev, will it be used by end users? Does applications will be exposed to the end users for dev environment? No. But for production, let's say this is your production. Can I have a load balancer for my production environment like this? Does end users can access like using that load balancer? Yes. So end users can reach. But in the background, whenever there is a change in the code, whenever there is a change in the code by developers or modifying the code, if I have the CI/CD in place, if I have a pipelines are in place which can continuously integrate that code, build and deploy that code, this Jenkins is doing its job, the end users can access that applications. But to make this happen, if this is in different VPC, my servers are in different VPC. If I want to connect and deploy my code, my WAR file I want to copy, let's say, do I need a connectivity between this Jenkins server and my application server to copy that WAR file, whether you are using plugin, whether you are using SCP command? First of all, do we need a connectivity between that Jenkins server and this server to deploy? Yes. So how can I make that happen? Using VPC peering. Now, suppose same thing, does this two VPCs also needs to be peered? Let's say this is my prod environment, let's say. Do I need to have a VPC peering with this server also? The production servers also? I mean to say, do I need to have a pairing between this VPC and this VPC? Do I need to have a pairing between this VPC and this VPC? Yes. But is it recommended to pair this dev VPC and prod VPC together? No, no, we should not do that. Okay. But this management VPC, can I pair with all other VPCs like dev VPC, QA VPC, prod VPC? Not a main server here. I am talking about just to give an use case. I have taken this Jenkins because Jenkins you will have is only Jenkins, not for individual environments. Only one Jenkins can be used to deploy in prod QA stage also. Because can I have a pipeline where I can use IPs of my production servers to deploy? In my pipeline, can I write a pipeline where I can use QA servers, QA IPs to deploy? So, but if you are using IPs or server details to deploy, but if this Jenkins doesn't have connection with these networks, will it again work? No. So if I have these type of use cases, do I need to create a VPC pairing? I have just taken Jenkins as example, but that can be any VPC. The server in one VPC want to communicate with server in other VPC on a private channel. Maybe let's say you have a database in separate VPC. Let's say you have a database in separate VPC. You created RDS in a separate VPC. Your applications are running in a separate VPC. your RDS or database is running in a separate VPC. In that case, do we need a peering between the VPC where your application servers are running with the database VPC where your database is running again, if they are in two different VPCs? Yes. So VPC pairing is a concept where we can connect two networks so that the servers in one VPC can access the servers in other VPC using private IPs only. Now, I don't have any VPC pairing. Let's say, let me go to EC2 now. Let me go to EC2 now. Now, this is in which VPC? Just to give an example, I have one server. This is in which VPC if you see? Is it in default VPC? This server? Yes. Default VPC, yes guys. This server. You can go click on this one. You can see that is in default VPC only. This server, whatever I have selected, that is in different VPC. So this is the private IP of that server. Now, this is in different VPC, let's say. This one is in different VPC. Now from this server, will I able to access anything from this server? Whether it's a SSH, whether it's a SCP, whether you want to access database, whether you want to access Tomcat, is it possible by default now? By default, is it possible? Let me show that. I am connecting to this server. Again, this is a public server only because all the servers are in the default VPC is public because all are public subnets. So let me connect to this server. This is a public server in default VPC. Let me connect to that. Let me connect to that. It's a Ubuntu server, that doesn't matter. Now from here, am I able to reach that other server? This other server? Ping I can use. I can use ping. Am I able to reach that server? Because this is in a different network. This is in a different network. Am I able to reach that server? While pinging also, you need to open some port. You need to open some port. Go to that server. Go to this server. The server which you are trying to ping. Go to that server. Go to security group. Open all ICMP protocol here. Go and open all ICMP protocol for everywhere. Everywhere. Just to try to ping. It is just going to ping. Now, if you see, even though that is opened, am I able to reach this server from this system? Why that is not possible? Why that is not happening? Because this is in different network. This is in different network. Is it able to access privately? Am I able to reach that server privately without internet, without public IP? No. Now, suppose I want to test on some port whether I can reach that server or not. Can I use telnet or curl like this? I want to reach whether I can reach that or not. Now, for now, security group is not opened basically. If you see, as of now, security group is opened only for that 10.0.0 source only. Even though I open that security group for everyone, even though I open that security group for everyone, but still from this server, am I able to reach this server on port 22, even though port is open for all IPs? No. Why? Why? Because this is what happening. The server, this is in different VPC, this is in different VPC. Are they able to communicate with each other on private channel? No. Now, how can I make that possible? Vice versa also. Vice versa. I mean to say, From this server, am I able to reach that server, the other server, using private IPs? Am I able to reach? Not via internet. curl-v telnet other server. I mean to say, from this server, from this server, from this server. Now I am trying to reach this server. Even though port 22 is opened for everywhere, am I able to reach privately with using private IP? No. But if you have a public IP, and if that server has access to the public IP and port is opened again, now if I have a public IP, I am using public IP. With public IP, if that port is opened, then yes. But this is a private server. But how it can talk to the internet? I mean to say public IP. How this is even though this is a private server, how it is able to talk to this internet? Public IP, because do we have a NAT? Do we have a NAT attached to this one? Route table. So if you see that route table, destination 0.0.0, any destination outside of that no, local IPs, it is there is a rat to the route to the net, so that's why it is working. But I don't want to access via public, I want to access via private. Now two servers in private subnets in two different VPCs, will they able to talk to each other by default without internet, without route to the internet? No. That I can make it happen, that I can make it happen by creating a VPC peering. VPC peering. Now let me go to VPC peering. Let me go to VPC. Now VPC. Here, peering connections. There is an option called peering connections. Under this VPC virtual private cloud, there is a concept called peering connections. So now, as of now, I don't have a peering connection. So when we are creating a peering connection, there are two things: requester and acceptor. Requester and acceptor. When we are creating a VPC peering connection, there is a requester and acceptor. What is the meaning of requester? The VPC, the guy or the VPC who is requesting the peering. So I am requesting, at the same time, does acceptor has to accept that request? Okay, I am trying to, I am fine with connecting with you or peering with you. Yes. Here, not source, not a destination. Don't call this as a source and destination, because it is not like a source and destination, which means if this is source, this is destination, and at the same time, can this become source and talk to this destination? This is source, it can talk to this destination, and this source, can it talk to this destination? Yes. So it is not like a source VPC and destination VPC. Here requester and acceptor, because bidirectional, it can communicate with both. This VPC can access the servers in this VPC, so this VPC also can access servers in this VPC. So it is like a requester and acceptor. Now this guy can be a requester and this guy can be an acceptor, or vice versa also. Does this guy can be accept requester and does this guy can be an acceptor? Yes. So suppose I am creating a pairing connection. I am creating a pairing connection for this VPC. Can I call this as a requester? Can I call this as a requester? Yes. And will this guy become an acceptor? Unless until that guy accept the peering request, will I able to proceed further? Unless until this acceptor accept the request, will I able to proceed further? No. Now VPC pairing, sometimes in the interview they'll ask, Can we do VPC pairing between VPCs which are in different regions? Different region, which means this acceptor is in Mumbai region, other requester in Singapore region, let's say. Is it possible for me to create a VPC pairing, or the acceptor and requester has to be in same region? So we can do this also. All four possibilities, same are four possibilities: same account, same region, same account, different region, and what is the other two? Different account, same region, different account, same region, which means I have one VPC. This is my VPC. Let's say, is it possible for me to create connection, private connection from this VPC to VPC which is there in someone else account like Abhishek account or Krishna Prasad account, whoever it is? Is it possible? Yes, that is also possible. And again, suppose this is in Mumbai region, can I have other VPC in Singapore region in same account or different account again? Yes. So VPC pairing is possible, all these four combinations. Sometimes in the interview they'll ask this question also. But for now, let me do it between this VPC and this VPC. So it falls under which one here? Out of these four options, which falls under which one? I want to create a pairing between this one and this one. Same VPC, sorry, same account, same region. Same account, same region. Now, let me create. As I already told, if the CIDRs of VPCs are overlapping, is it possible for to create a VPC pairing? No. But here, is it overlapping? This VPC CIDR and this VPC CIDR, is it overlapping? No. So, can I go ahead and create a pairing connection between these two VPCs? Yes. Why it is not possible? If you have a overlapping, will have a ambiguity? Because same IPs are there in two networks, ambiguity occurs to which server it has to route in which network. So that's why it is not possible to create a VPC pairing if you have a IP conflicts. So that's why this has a different, so I can create. So let me go and create a VPC pairing. I am going to the pairing connections. Let me create. Click on pairing connection. Now let me say something like this. Anything dev VPC, default VPC, Flipkart dev VPC pairing. Now here requester and acceptor, any guy can be a requester. Now let me select this as a requester. In that case, can I select other guy as acceptor? If I am selecting this as a requester, this VPC as a acceptor. Suppose if I select this guy as a requester, can I select other guy as acceptor like this? Yes. So let me select this as a requester. Now again, you are trying to create a pairing between this VPC to which VPC? What is the other VPC? The acceptor. If you see, do have option whether it is in my account, whether it is in different account, whether it is in same region, another region also? Yes. If it is another account altogether, do I need to provide the account ID? Do I need to provide the account ID and VPC ID? In that case, suppose I want to create a pairing connection between my VPC with let's say Krishna Prasad VPC, do I need to ask Krishna Prasad to share his account ID and VPC ID also? Yes, he will share. Then I will provide all those details here and I will create. So in that, once that is done, if the Krishna Prasad logs into his account, if he go to the peering connection, will he able to see one request? Does he need to accept that request also after he provided details? Yes. But if it is the same account, can I just select my account and a VPC ID also because it is in same account? I no need to get the ID manually. Can I select like this also? Yes. Now, is the CIDRs are overlapping between this VPC and this VPC as of now? No. So I am creating a peering connection. Even though acceptor and requester is in same account, even though acceptor and requester is in same account, again, do you see there is a pen, the status is pending for acceptance, that peering connection. Even though acceptor and requester in same account, it is saying pending for acceptance. Suppose if it is with a different account, let's say Krishna Prasad, when he logins, will he able to see this entry? When I created that peering request, he can see this entry, then he has to accept that request. He has to accept that request. Even though source and destination in same account, still, is it pending for acceptance? Even though both acceptor VPC and requester VPC also in same account, it is showing pending for acceptance. So do I need to select this? Say accept or reject. If I don't want to peer, can I reject this request? Yes. For now, let me accept the request. Let me accept the request. Now accepted. If I just create a peering connection, does it mean there is a routes between those VPCs? Will they able to talk to each other if I just create a VPC pairing? No. What needs to be done after creating this VPC pairing? We need to define the routes in that respective subnets. Now, let me go to the route tables here. So for default VPC, don't do anything, guys. For default VPC, you don't do anything. Select this default route table. Do I already have a default route table for the default VPC? This is the main route table for the default VPC. So you don't create any route table. In this route table itself, can I define a route to that peering connection? From this VPC, I want to peer with other VPC. Can I define a routes to that VPC in this default main route table? Don't create any additional route table for the default VPC here. Default VPC here. In the main route table itself, you can define. Now, I'll tell you why problem. If you create another route table and you have defined the route to that peering connection, you remove those, you explicitly associated those subnets. Will it be removed from this route table where you have IGW? So you cannot SSH to that public servers. If you create another route table, let me show you why to make it confuse. Let's say you are creating a new route table for VPC pairing. For your VPC pairing, you are creating a route table. Default VPC. For default VPC, you are creating a route table. For pairing, let's say you are selecting in the default VPC, you are trying to create this route table. Now you created a route table. In this route table, I can add the routes. So here, instead of 0.0.0, can I say something like this? The other VPC CIDR, if the destination is this, what is my target here? What is my target here? This is in the default VPC. I am using other VPC range. If this is the destination, Can I select the target as peering? This peering connection. This peering connection. I can save this rule. But here, the moment I go to this subnets, if I do this edit subnet association, if I select all these things, does these subnets will be removed that explicit association from the default route table where you have a IGW route? If I do this, yes, it is removed from there. Now, if you see here, am I able to type anything in this server? Am I able to SSH in this server now? Even though that's a public server, I mean to say, even though that is a having a public IP, am I able to reach that server? This server, this server, this server. Am I able to reach that server? If you see now, let me show you. Why that is not happened now? Because I created a new route table. I created a new route table. I created a new route table for that default VPC. I created a new route table for the default VPC. This route table where I have implicitly associated this one, right? Where I have a route to the NAT, sorry, peering connection. But do I have a route to the IGW? No. Now, you may have a question, sir, already we have one default route table, right? That main route table, this one. You have a IGW. IGW is there in the main route table. But since I have explicitly selected those subnets in the other route table, do you have association with here? With those route table, with that subnets, even though there is a route to the IGW, is any subnets are associated here? So that's why, am I able to reach that server now from internet? No, connection timeout. So that's why what I told, don't create any new route table for default VPC. So let me remove from association. Let me remove the association from here, whatever I have done here. Let me select this one. I am unselecting and I have removed that explicit association. Now, will it be implicitly referred in the default route table now? In the default route table, now do we have this again? So where I have a IGW route, now will I able to SSH to that server? Yes. So don't create like this. Don't do the route, this peering route here. So let me delete this. Don't do like this, because if you mess up, you will see, sir, I am not able to SSH. So don't do this. In the default main route table itself, in the default VPC main route table itself, can I again add route to that peering also? The way I have IGW, can I add a route to the peering also here in the same main route table here? So can I have something like this? 10.0.0 other VPC CIDR. Other VPC CIDR. What is the target if this is the destination? VPC pairing. Guys, it is like you are connecting roads, right? You are defining a routes like a roads between these two. So if any destination in this range, this is the target. Now, is this subnets are already associated without explicit association? This is already associated all these subnets, which means these subnets are already associated and there is a route to the IG, this NAT also. But now it's only defined in one place, but still Still am I able to reach that server, private server, even though there is a route defined with a peering connection? Still am I able to reach from this server? Am I able to reach this server on port 22? No. Why? Peering connection also there, route also there, but in one VPC there is a route to the peering. In the other VPC also, do I need to do the same thing? In the other VPC also, do I need to do the same thing, that routing? Yes. So I have other VPC. I already have a route table. Now in this route table also, can I define in the main route table of that VPC, Flipkart VPC main route table also, can I define that a peering route? This is the default main route table. Here I cannot define because explicitly we have already associated. Here I cannot define because explicitly I have associated here as well as here. So now can I define here in this private subnet route table, can I define the routes for peering? But here, do I need to take other VPC CIDR? Something like this. Something like this. The other VPC CIDR. Now, if this is the destination, I am creating a route table in the VPC of Flipkart. So, if this is the CIDR, again, what is the target? Again here, in the other VPC, again, same peering connection. Now, I have done like this. Now, in this route table, there is a route to the peering, and is these private subnets are already associated with this route table routes? The private subnets of Flipkart VPC, is it already associated here in this? Yes. Now, once this is done, now if you see, is it connected? The server in default VPC, is it able to talk to the server in Flipkart VPC using private IP? This way. In the reverse also, from here, will I able to reach that server? The server in Flipkart VPC private network, is it able to talk to the server in default VPC network using private IP again? Both, vice versa. Now let's say if you are not testing on port, can I just use ping to see whether I can reach that server? Ping. Why it is not able to ping? Because do I need to open that protocol, ICMP protocol in this server? In this server, is ICMP protocol is opened. I am trying to use this private IP to ping from this server. That ICMP protocol is not opened in the security group. If you see, that's why I am not able to reach that. So open ICMP. Again, you can open for everywhere, or you can open. Can I open ICMP also for only that other VPC 10.0.0/24 also if required? The other VPC like this also. You can do like this also. Now let me open for everywhere. Now let's say the moment I opened ICMP, do you see, is it able to ping this server? Is it able to talk to this server using private IPs without internet also? And vice versa. From here also, is it able to ping this one? I'm just using ping or curl just to make it some realistic solution. Suppose in this server, let's say I have database running or Tomcat running. Can I able to access database or Tomcat from this server using private IP and respective port? Let's say, suppose I have something running on 8080. I have something running on 8080, let's say. Just I'm using again curl. Will I able to access this one on port 8080 if something is running? But why this time I'm getting connection refused? Because do I have anything running as of now in this server on 8080? I don't have anything as of now running in this server. So that's why it is saying connection refused. But if something is running on 8080, am I able to reach from other server using private IP itself because of this peering connection? I don't have anything running on 8080. Now let's say I have installed Tomcat in this server or database in this server. Suppose database is running in this server, my application is running in this server. If I am using this IP address and the respective port on which database is running, does this application server will be able to talk to the database servers to read and write the data even though they are in two different VPCs privately? Yes. So is everyone clear what is VPC peering? In which scenarios you need a VPC pairing? If the servers in two different VPCs want to communicate with each other privately without internet, only intranet. So can I use VPC pairing? Yes. Now I want to give this as an assignment. I want you to do the VPC pairing. I want a screenshot like this. The server in one VPC should be able to ping server in another VPC using private IP. I need a screenshot like this. This screenshot, this server is able to ping this server like this, and this server should be able to ping this server like this. If you do this assignment, will you able to understand all VPC concepts, like how to create VPC, what is subnet, what is public subnet, private subnet, what is IGW, what is NAT, what is peering, all those things can be understand. So if you have a requirement like this, or if you have a connectivity issues, your servers are not able to reach, will you able to understand how to troubleshoot? Using curl, you can see whether I am able to reach or not. If it is not reachable, is there a problem with firewall, or is there a problem with the network itself? Because if they are in two different networks, so all these things are very, very important. So try to do this as an assignment. I'll continue tomorrow with another topic, load balancing. Load balancing. But before I wrap up the session, is it possible for me to create a connectivity between cloud and my own data center? I mean to say, I have some servers in my own data center. I have some servers in my own data center, my on-premise environment, on-prem servers. Now, is it possible for me to access, reach the private, these servers should be able to talk to this server. Let's say my application server is in cloud, my Tomcat server is in cloud, my database server is in my own data center. I don't want to migrate my database to the cloud. I still have a database in my own data center, but I have application server in AWS. Is it possible? Abhishek is saying VPC pairing. VPC pairing both has to be in cloud, but this is VPC, this is your own network. So for this one also there are some services available. There is a concept called transit gateways. There is a concept called transit gateways, and there is another service called direct connection. Direct connection. You can use these services using direct connection. You can create a connectivity between AWS cloud with your own data center. Then If your application server is in AWS VPC, your database is in your own data center. If there is a connection between cloud and your data center using direct connection or transit gateways, is it possible to access privately again? The application server, will it able to talk to the database even though it is running in your own data center? Yes, but that is different concepts again, different services. So that is not covered here. It is full part of complete DevOps program. So sorry, complete AWS program. So there is a services. I'm just saying those service names. We can use transit gateways or we can use direct connection. So using these services, right? If you see here, we have a transit gateways, we have a direct connections. All those options are here. Here, if you go to this transit gateways, direct connections, all these things are here. Using all these services, you can establish a connection between cloud and data center also. Hybrid cloud, hybrid cloud model. Is everyone clear? Thank you guys. That's it for today. Tomorrow I'm going to start very important topic as a DevOps engineer, load balancing and auto scaling. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow. I want everyone to do this assignment. I need a screenshot like this before tomorrow's class. Thank you.